everybody, and welcome to the Weekend Big Show. It's Friday, and that means that Jeremy Schroeder and I get together and talk sports here on the Law Dog Sports Network, the Law Dog Sports Podcast Network. 7 years in the biz, Jeremy. That's us. And I was thinking yesterday as I was watching Paul Feinbaum on the beach at Destin. And, you know, you sent me a meme of Dave Ramsey, and it was reference to a catty, snarky comment about a baseball acquisition, but it's fitting. But, you know, if you don't have what is it I hear Dave Ramsey say all the time? If you don't have a goal, if you don't set your goal, you'll hit it every time or something like that.
Sure.
I think our goal should be Destin, Pally.
That would be fantastic. Media passes should be the goal. Media passes.
I don't care if it's media days or not. I just think we should be broadcasting from Destin. But no, it was a neat setup. Even Feinbaum looked relaxed, and some interesting stuff from the SEC spring meetings. But you know, I just thought, wow, white sands behind you, the setup, and he was actually pretty chill with Kirk Bowles and Cedric Golden from, you know, covering Texas, but a lot more to get into on that. But I just thought, you know, April was our 7-year anniversary,
man,
and we haven't been 100% during that time, but man, we have kept this thing going with a relatively decent following for two guys who just talk to the internet.
You're never going to let that go, are you?
Two randoms who just talk to the internet. But we are streaming live on Facebook, and we are utilizing that through StreamYard, which we switched away from the other internet meeting utensil. But I just thought, you know, that you have to set a goal in life, Jeremy. And right now I'm going to say us broadcasting from a beach in Destin is got to be some sort of a goal.
As someone who has been to Destin, I would say that is a fantastic goal. As long as we don't, you know, migrate to Panama City or, you know, Destin's nice and Fort Walton Beach are very nice. So those are good goals. You know, it's beautiful there.
I haven't been to Fort Walton Beach since I was 6, and my oldest brother was in the Air Force and stationed at Fort Walton Beach, and we went there on a vacation, and it was right on the heels of the release of the movie Jaws, and so it was. Even as a kid, I can remember it was a little bit. It was a little bit unnerving, but and who lets their 6-year-old go see Jaws? I'm just saying that, but anyway. I shouldn't beleaguer, because yesterday, May 29th, was the birthday of my late mother, Sandy, and she would have been 87 yesterday.
Man.
If she'd have, but she'd been gone since 2011. But anyway, so not to truck for the sentimental today, but
Super Sky Points, brother.
That's right, Super Sky Point, and 7 years, brother, and you have been like the mail, buddy. I mean, this was just kind of a thing that I thought, well, I want to get into that. And, you know, the backstory for anybody who doesn't know is we used to work together and, at the, Willie, as we call it, and just would, got to know each other, realized that neither one were complete nimrods. And,
Drew's still out over here.
Yeah, I would say probably a little more indecision on myself. But we would talk a lot of sports, and I just thought, you know, trying to get something going on radio. Let's go ahead and you know, if you got time in the morning, we'll do it. And we came a long ways from just, you know, being on a podcast recording to actually being on the radio in Wichita Falls and Seymour. Corey Hogue jumping in with us, and a whole host of TV sports people in Wichita Falls, and John Moore's been a consistent through this time, talking Rangers with us. And I guess really, I'm trying to think what
we've had capital J print journalists.
Well, yeah, Barry Trammell. Would he be? I mean, I probably not to the Texas crowd, but would he be the biggest name that we've? I mean, he has pissed off Westbrook, so I mean,
yeah. Well, in Texas part, Corey's known.
Corey is
Dave Ramsey's Texas football.
Yeah, the Dave Campbell's Texas football. Dan Narva, our super fan, checking in. Wife did ladies trip to Fort Walton Beach and Panama City Beach the last couple of years. I'm sorry, I don't know the acronyms for the Gulf, the Panhandle area. Destiny is your destiny. Happy anniversary. Thanks, Dano. And he also said, I did not know the backstory on you guys. This is so good. Well,
if we could get to Destiny and we could get the lane train on just for some awkwardness, man, that was great.
That was the other thing about Feinbaum, and we'll kind of get into SEC spring meetings later. But Feinbaum had given on. I think they both have to be.
They're in.
Both have to be in on it. It couldn't go on this long with that real kind of awkwardness.
Feinbaum's got a sense of humor, and you have to do what he does. Are you well known in Arkansas, Connor?
Connor Carr checking in. I'm well known in Arkansas, but we stream live on Facebook and we've been on YouTube, but we traditionally are a podcast. I was talking about this yesterday with my my manager at Wright Media in Weatherford, Todd, and I'm still kind of a traditionalist. I still think you can probably get more traction having the audio on a platform like Spotify, where people get to doing things during the day. If they do want to listen to us, they can just listen to us and kind of go along and multitask. Video is a little different. You kind of sit. Now, I'll say this, with the changing times, people just sit and watch YouTube videos constantly, Facebook videos, things like that. So,
yes.
But things have changed quite a bit. I think we were on a telephone line the very first episode we did back 7 years ago. And I say 7 years ago because I want to say it was April 18th, 2018, when we first took to the air or recorded anything together.
Yes.
So we managed through, which, we're both remote. So COVID wasn't really a nightmare on that, but the nightmare on COVID was
there was nothing going on, man.
Finding something to talk
Covering
about.
Korean baseball. What the heck?
And, we did talk some Korean baseball. We sure did. So thank you to the Koreans. And but anyways, it's been quite a run. We had I think we've been together through a couple of OU playoff appearances. We've been together through several OU softball, titles, and then trying to think of big events in the area.
The Paul George delusion,
the Paul George trade, and then also the we weren't on the air. We weren't on the air back when KD bailed on OKC, but
no, that was 16.
We dealt with the repercussions quite a bit. Yep. But anyways, through social media and things like that, I'm sure there are videos out there that I need to go through my external hard drive and try to find the audio file of maybe something from that first year. But it's been fun, buddy. And like I said, I wish I had a big old salary to pay you, but we lack advertisers from time to time. So
it's okay. Love of the game, Chuck. Love of the game.
You talk about a hobby, and I don't think I charge you. I don't think I cost you anything. So, anyways, you've got quite the victory lap to take today, my friend.
Not yet. As the great Kobe Bean Bryant said, job's not done.
Yeah,
job's not done.
Well,
got to get that chip, brother. Got to get that chip.
Yeah, they do. They really have to get it done, and that was the mantra, I believe. And here's the audio clip of, let's see, I had that somewhere. Where did that go? Are you kidding me? Wow. Okay, so let me do some navigating here, Jeremy, and we will get some audio on here. But no, it is, to me, and it's always tough to think about this, because you do want to top that hill. But congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder for their second, in the time being in Oklahoma City, their second Western Conference Finals championship. First one since 2012. What are you looking at me for?
Oh, I was just reading a text from my mother.
Oh, okay. I messed something up. Anyway, first Western Conference Finals championship since 2012, and just a really big night for everybody involved, and just a complete blowout. 124-94. It was over early, and you could tell
It was.
Cancun was on the mind of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that was I didn't man, I just didn't think that they had that kind of quit in them. And man, they did. It
Yeah.
it was a it wasn't a I mean, there was one good game in the series, Thunder blew them out 3 times, won that close
Mhm.
game on the road, which was a good game.
Yeah.
And then that debacle that was game 3 that it looked like the Thunder had, just
Yeah.
mailed it in to close out at home if think about it.
Yeah. It was it really was just I don't know, Jeremy. To me, it's one of those things where this team, and I'm always the first one to go, negative, as you've seen. And I don't do it out of wanting to be a dick. I always see things worst case scenario.
Sure.
So what I'll say to that is when I said Timberwolves in 6, I wasn't trying to flame you. I just thought this is a team that looks like they could match up pretty dang well with this Thunder squad. I mean,
You
when
always
you
think when a team has a guy like Anthony Edwards
yeah.
and the guys around him that can make shots, that
Mhm.
they are gonna be a handful, and
Yeah.
especially because they were there last year, maybe they gotta get that get back, got something to prove. All the face of the NBA talk, which I don't wanna see Anthony Edwards be the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
I think he's a great young player. I don't care for the choices he makes in his personal life. That's me.
Who say again?
The
You
Sean
froze
Kemp
up for
thing
a sec.
was, a running joke. Edwards
Okay.
Edwards, his,
Yeah.
personal life, we all know the story. Um, but the Thunder team, if you're gonna be a guard-heavy lineup, if you're gonna be a guard-driven lineup, that is the worst matchup you could possibly have. Patino said it, he has his team out. He's a St. John's, right?
Yes.
He has his St. John's team watch film of how the Thunder play defense. Edwards, I know he meant it as a backhanded compliment, but he said it, 15 puppets, one string. They're all on the same page. They all are they're fundamentally where they're supposed to be. That's how you get away with physical play. If you get to your spots and you are, in position, you're going to get away with contact.
Yeah.
You see them if they get blown by, the hands come in, they don't reach. They are just a fantastically disciplined defensive basketball club. And
I'll
they have
say
so many guys that can just lock down wing players.
yeah. I'll say this, when a team is not wholeheartedly in it, that really seems to be when they pray.
Sure.
Because
Exactly.
ball handling for the T-Wolves looked like it was a monumental task in that. And here's the thing, like I said, it was pretty obvious going into that game. And I didn't see the body language in the pregame or anything, but I mean, you come out and Randall hits a 3,
Mhm.
and then it's like, well, we're done here. And so, I mean, the Thunder shot the ball really well, 40% from 3,
Yep.
52% from the field, the turnovers, the points in the paint. So it was complete domination. But even, the thing about it is nobody wanted to talk about that game 4
No.
except for changing the rules so that fouls, to prevent people from launching a 3, especially when you have a foul to give. That's been strategy since I was a
That
kid. Why?
always.
Because
If
the
you have a
Thunder do
foul
it
to
now, we
give
got to
and it's
change it.
yeah, if you have a foul to give and someone's, got side out across half court, that has always been a thing. You foul to see what they're coming out in. I
And
don't
and why would they think that the Thunder would be so stupid as to not look at it and say, we had a guy beat us from 3, you know, in the last series. We're not going to let it freaking happen again.
no. And I know it bit them in the butt in the Denver series in game 1 when they were fouling up 3.
That was bad. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
but if you do it with less than 15 seconds on the clock, we've seen that it can come out in your favor. Now the jackass at courtside that caught that ball sure saved him a few seconds or a few tenths of seconds. But
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah.
hey, the Thunder they're if they win a championship, they're a historic team. It's a historic season
Yeah.
that
And
we've witnessed.
I'll say this, and I realize that now our whole viewing, service is just flogged with debate shows. And
And
and we do that a little bit here, and you pick your poison basically based on that. But I'm tired of the face of the league debate because who cares?
yeah, who cares? Who cares if it's a foreign guy? Who cares? It
I
doesn't have to
mean,
be an American.
the league grows and grows and grows. If they're big in Europe, okay, good chance it's partly because of Luka or the Joker. But I promise you, those people in Europe really love to watch Ant Edwards too. And they really
Sure.
love to watch Jason Tatum bomb from three or whatever the case might be. So shut up with the face of the league shit.
And if Trump gets his wish and Canada becomes a state, then SGA can be the face of the league, right? Is that what's going to take?
We ain't having no Canuck.
But he had a perfect game.
He really did.
He had 34 points. Guess what he was from the free throw line?
4 for 4.
4 for 4. So the foul merchant conversation wasn't applicable to that. I didn't hear Doris talking about it, so
yeah,
it must have been a pretty good night.
Even beyond her constant criticism of Oklahoma City, she's just awful now. I mean,
well, every time Nikhil Alexander Walker enters the game, I get to hear how him and Shea are cousins.
Oh, yeah.
26 times a broadcast over 5 games. I think.
And what that is, I'll tell you what that is, Jeremy. And I've done it. You've seen me do it on here. When you feel like you have to kind of lead a show, 3 people in the box is stupid. It should be Mike Breen. And if you're going to have, obviously former players dominate everything. Tanner Pruitt checking in. He says Burke has always been awful. I'll say this. And real quick, what I was getting to, I thought Doris wasn't bad as a play-by-play. The play-by-play is a whole different animal than the color commentary, and she's awful at color commentary, regardless if she's whacking on your team. But the thing I'll say is, what she does is she beats things over the head because she's got nothing else. That's what you do. You repeat and repeat over and over. I have to watch myself because I'm just really. You could consider me an amateur play-by-play, but I have to be careful because when you're kind of in that la-la state and you're not sure exactly, what do we say now? You revert back to something you've said already. So
yeah,
and you didn't have that problem with Jeff Van Gundy, and you didn't have that problem with Mark Jackson.
No,
they are idiots.
Yeah, give me Kevin Harlan and Mark Jackson or Van Gundy. Yeah, hey, Van Gundy, he's an assistant for, is it Golden State?
Yeah, or the Clippers.
The Clippers. Yeah. He's not doing anything right now.
No.
Let's go.
He would have to love the spotlight of color commentary in the playoffs more so than being an assistant, right?
Yeah, you would think. I guess the season's a grind even for these coaches, so he's probably on a beach somewhere or whatever Jeff Van Gundy does.
And I'm not a big Stan Van Gundy fan. I'm pretty weary of him. Jeff was great. I kind of scared Jeff Van Gundy in the terminal one time back when we worked at the Willie. He was over there at that bookstore down there by the American Gates, and he was sitting on the floor. I guess he'd just flown in, charging his phone, and I just walked by. I said, "Sir, we don't want people lingering in here." And he kind of looked up at me, and I just smiled at him and walked off. And he kind of acknowledged me, but anyway, so Doris is awful, but yeah, the whole face of the league, the whole, and that's what we've got, Jeremy, is a whole batch of talking heads that feel like they have to remedy every little thing that somebody complains about on social media.
Yeah, who cares about the face of the league at this point?
I don't care that 2/3 of the bots say that, fouling, constantly fouling in the last 30 minutes is unwatchable. Yeah, you're watching it. So,
you're watching it.
Yeah. So, anyways, congratulations to the Thunder. We'll talk a little bit here in a little minute about their potential opponent. And thank you, Tanner Pruitt, for checking in also. And Daignault was funny in his post game, Jeremy.
Yeah, that was a fun post game. I wish Nick, what's his name?
Nick Gallo.
Nick Gallo was involved somehow. Those are always fun. I love
Or
barking every time Dub speaks. And yes,
here's
Daignault is right. They are idiots.
Here's Daignault talking after they received the trophy.
They're idiots. They're competitive, and most of all, they're team first. They embody everything it means to be a team.
So they're idiots. There's just such a. Am I loud for you?
Yeah, your audio just shut up.
Oh wow! I wonder what that's about.
I don't know.
Huh? Weird. So Daignault, obviously, it's been a different chemistry, a different mindset with that team than anything we saw with the lingering effects of the former, players.
The former big three, the Durant, Westbrook, Harden.
Yeah, and even after Westbrook left after Durant left in the Westbrook years, I mean, I just get a more sense of joy. Obviously, chemistry seems to be off the chart.
Camaraderie, yes,
camaraderie. But anyway,
it's also a team and a system of defined roles. Everyone has the role. Everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do. What you saw with the previous iterations of the Thunder, it was a lot of your turn, my turn.
Oh yeah, it really was. And
this is a different era. Everybody has their role. Everybody plays defense. There aren't weak links on the floor. You've seen Chet grow up in the last couple of games right before our eyes. Dub, 60 days ago, nobody trusted him. Now, guy's playing great.
Yeah. Dub is really an irritant to SGA, I think, at times.
He is. He's got a very funny personality.
There you go.
He's a kid. They're kids.
What I'm looking at. Go ahead. There you go. Oh, he stopped.
Oh, go away, bro.
He stops with you guys.
Go ahead, Scott. My bad.
Go ahead, Scott. My bad. SVP experiencing some of the fun and hijinks going on with J-Dub post game, and the whole thing with the towels and Nick Gallo and all that it's really a great run. I just wish, like I said, I wish this had been San Antonio and OKC in this Western Conference Finals, and I would be wishing for a different result. But hey, we got what we got, and I can
give it a couple of years.
I can root for OKC to win a title. So
they're going to have a good draft pick this year. They've got Fox, Wemby, if they can get whatever's going on with his deep vein thrombosis figured out. That's a team that's going to be really good in the future. It could be the golden era of small markets.
That it's funny you say that, because Indiana had a chance to make it a true small market finals last night.
Huh? That's called a segue.
Yeah, great job. 7 years in the biz, you got it down.
There you go.
But anyways, 111-94 last night. The Knicks hold on to play another day in their series with Indiana. First home win for the Knicks in that series, and they dropped that was it game one. They were up 24 and then fell in overtime. Yeah, it was game one. Fell in
Halliburton struck.
Yeah. So anyways, but I'll say this, and you're gonna say I'm Chicken Little again, but the Pacers, as if I were a Thunder fan and if I'm looking at the matchups, I see more issue with the Pacers than I would with the Knicks. I don't see the Knicks, other than if Jalen Brunson can truly operate with the constant pressure that they would have on him. I don't know. It seems like the length of the Pacers and some of the skill players that they, of course, I'll say this: the Timberwolves, as much as I was afraid that they might pull it off, going into that series with OKC, I did realize that there were games where their shot just wasn't going down, and if they
Right.
and they would rely on their bigs to create second opportunities or things like that. Indiana's got some scorers, man. I mean,
Yeah, that was evident last night when Halliburton was 2 of 7 from the floor for 8 points.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying the games where they have cooked, it looks like they can put them up in a hurry, and even more
Yeah.
so than what I saw from Minnesota. Now, I'm sure the consensus will be, Chuck, this OKC defense is different. They probably are, but I have
You
to.
saw what one Lugens Dort did to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had that man in hell in game 4.
So would he take the matchup with Halliburton?
I mean, insert pesky defender here. You
Sure,
got
sure.
Dort, that bald-headed demon Alex Caruso,
He's
Casey
very-
Wallace.
Yeah,
Even Shea could probably log some minutes guarding him.
yeah.
They've got guys that if you're going to rely on wing scoring, you're going to have you're going to have some problems with the Thunder team. Not just the length, but the effort, the help defense, the positioning. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. And then if you get past them, you got the slender man,
Mhm.
big oxtail down there in the paint that's going to swat it into the 5th row.
Yeah, he's asserted himself as a rim protector in that last series for sure. Hartenstein, he's obviously operable in different situations. They didn't particularly care for what he brought against certain lineups, I'm sure. But I guess it was when Gobert's in, we're gonna and if
Yeah. Real quick, somebody on Twitter called Julius Randle dubious handle, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Well, and like I said, I just think it was one of those situations where they kind of realized coming out, we really don't have it tonight, guys. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, OKC just came out. They made shots, that's very important in the game of basketball. The ball going through the hoop, probably the most important thing.
It's huge.
And yeah, and they did, and they got stops, and they physically dominated the Timberwolves. They had that little run in the 3rd quarter where they dropped it down to 23, and then Daignault told them to quit screwing around, and they pushed it back to 30, and then the starters got to sit with 6.5 minutes left in the 4th.
Yeah. Well, it's the obvious rest versus rust argument. I kind of feel like this is the way I see it. 7 games against Denver, they were in perfect stride. They're young, they're energetic. Games 1 and 2 at home, they were ready to go.
Yep.
I kind of felt like the jet lag, so to speak, or whatever, was kind of evident in game 3.
Sure.
And
I don't even know what to think about game 3. The Wolves played a perfect game. Anything they wanted to do, they could do. And then I don't know what happened between 3 and 4. I'm going to say adjustments were made.
Well, Barkley said last night, and I trust his opinions on player mentalities as much as anything, because I think his multiple personalities have experienced everything. No, I love Chuck, but he said last night that about that Pacers team. You go into that, you're 3-1. That's a tough closeout, because you still have in the back of your mind, if things start to falter a little bit, we can wrap this up at home or whatever the case. And then if you lose at home, you're talking about some pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll say this, and I said this on Twitter the other night. The mentality and the attitude of this team, I think, is different than what a lot of people have seen in a long time. And I'm not in the back rooms of NBA locker rooms or dealing with them, but just what I see from outside. Steve Anderson checking in. Thanks, Steve-O. From what I see on the outside looking in, Jeremy, is that this team, I mean, they're having a blast. They're fun. They're jovial, but they're also super businesslike. Yep. And the last squad that came in there, and I said this on Twitter the other night, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I remember a Thunder personnel coming up to me when I worked for the NBA security, saying after game 1 win against Miami that, you know, they're already planning out their spot where they're going to have the after party when they beat Miami in Miami. Because remember, it was a 2-3 back then.
And apparently
then,
Harden stayed there the whole series.
Yeah, it was he was flying. But and I kind of clued into people that you know, their minds were elsewhere. They thought they had it wrapped up after game 1. They inexplicably lose game 2, and then the series was just lost.
Yep. And I think this team is, you know, they're fun, they're energetic, they're young, but I think they're mature enough to realize the stakes going forward. You know, don't worry about the outside stuff. Get the wins. You need 4 wins. Get them.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with Presti and Dagnall. Shea, you know, they got Caruso there for a reason because he's got that championship pedigree. He's the old guy on the team, and he gets a lot of respect in that locker room. And he proves it with effort. Man, I love Caruso. That dude is just he's everywhere. He does so many things that don't show up on the stat sheet. But
yeah, he will be a fan favorite for as long as they keep him, because if there's one thing that Thunder fans like, I'm sure it's hard work. And you know, I did not remember him at A&M.
I don't either. I mean, I vaguely remember him being on the summer league team, and then, you know, him showing up with the Lakers, and like, hey, didn't we have him? What happened there? Well, he wasn't actually on Oklahoma City's roster, but it was the G League team.
Yeah.
LA didn't have a G League team at the time, so he was basically on loan.
Yeah. Speaking of, and we'll go ahead and get to a comment here from Steve Anderson. I don't follow NBA as much as I used to, but what I like about the Thunder is they don't have one main superstar. Well, you're right. More of a lunch pail type of team that knows their part. They don't. I mean, they're going to have a big 3.
Yes.
That is establishing itself as we watch, right?
Yes.
What that big 3 feels like as far as their exposure and their impact on the league will depend on what this team does in the future years. I say from outside looking in, it looks like they have it kind of down. Now, is it going to bankrupt the Thunder to try to keep the big 3 together long term? I don't know.
When you hit that second apron, you know, that's tough.
Yeah, the aprons. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy. You know, I hope so. You always hope so. I mean, obviously Shea's going to command what, you know, he gets. You hope that he would take, you know, a little bit less to keep most of the core intact. Obviously some of the guys like, you know, your Lou Dortz, guys like that who are going to be up for big contracts are going to be moved, leave as free agents, what have you. Yeah. They have 9 future first-round picks. They have 3 in this upcoming draft. You can't pay all those guaranteed contracts. So what do you do with that?
What do you do?
I don't know.
I'm asking you.
We'll see. You package them and you do something with them. You try to win as much as you can for the next 5 years and see what happens after that.
Well, I just tweeted you on our Twitter page at Law Dog Sports. Travis J. Davidson tweeted out a picture of Shea SGA laying in the locker room floor, and guys just lounging around. It said OKC waiting for Indiana in New York. Kudos to Travis Davidson, man. That guy has taken on the Thunder banner through this playoff series, through the playoffs for the. On the tweets, and good job by him. Hey, meant to mention to you, we talk about the pencil neck out in LA, or now he's in Chicago, but his little sidekick the other day was really trying to go into an explanation on how the Lakers would still be the toughest matchup for the Thunder and would insinuated they would win in a series.
Aren't they they're in Chicago now. Shouldn't they be swinging from the Bulls? You know, Josh Giddey trade was the one key piece Oklahoma City needed to win a championship. They won't win another championship without Josh Giddey.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
Those two are so tiring.
I'll give Coward credit. He he said that in this era of not allowing hand checking and different things like that, and plus, the fact that you can just go play zone. But in this era, he said that he felt like this is the best defense he's seen.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people that actually know more than Colin Rick Pitino. The guy might know a little basketball. He's been around forever. Won at the, college basketball level. I can't remember how his tenure with the Celtics went, but
it was mid.
I mean, he's a great coach.
I mean,
it's a tough jump.
He's a college guy. I mean, him and Calipari and those are the big two I can think of. But
Kruger.
And was Larry Eustace on a pro team? Oh,
I don't think so, but Tim Floyd was.
Quinn Snyder should probably go to college. Anyways, so anyway, congratulations to the Thunder. It's an amazing run. Chet SGA the other night, 34-7-8. Chet 22-7. J-Dub 19-8. Big three is in effect for that squad, and we'll see if they can finish the job and get it home. Yep. SEC transitioning to some football, Jeremy. SEC not media days, SEC spring meetings, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, held this week in Destin, Florida. I mentioned to you Feinbaum out on the beach. Well, I saw a part where, and we'll get into the playoff format, Yakaboo, here in just a second, but I also saw Feinbaum had Kirk Bowles, who's covered Texas football for the Austin American-Statesman forever, and then Cedric Golden. And Bowles got on there and proclaimed that he thinks Arch might be the Texas greatest of all time quarterback upcoming.
Who's the current?
It would have to be Vince Young, right?
Wasn't Bobby Lane there?
Yeah.
That was before the forward pass.
I was going to say,
I mean, guys our age, it's Peter Gardier. Son of a bitch.
Well, we should have got on there and hit him in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kirk Bowles on the air said that he feels like Arch Manning is going to be the GOAT.
I mean, unless he rips off two natties. No, he's only going to, at most, he's going to be the starter for 2 years.
Because you think about this, Jeremy, the one thing, think about it, in 3 seasons of Vince Young's tenure at the University of Texas, he won a national championship in the BCS finals. He won a Rose Bowl against a bit of an outclassed Michigan team, but still he showed out. And then, the 03 season, if we implement the same system that there is now back then, I don't know that Bob Stoops wants to deal with Vince Young in 2004 after you blanked him 12-0 earlier in the season in the playoffs.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
because at the end of that year, he was really starting to turn it on.
Yeah.
And, Vince was a fine college quarterback. His throwing mechanics were awful, but, when you can pick him up and put it down like that dude could, you don't have to deal with a lot of man coverage because the defense is all looking back. So we saw a lot of zone, threw a lot of slants. But,
I'll say this. I mean, my thing, Jeremy, is when you're talking about the college greatest of all time, you can throw Vince in there. You can throw Tebow in there. You can throw, Steve Davis. Because at the end of the day, for your program, and I've said this all along, if OU could win and compete for national championships and never put another player in the NFL, I could care less.
I
just
would
want them
not.
to win while
Wouldn't
they're
bother
there.
me at all.
Yeah.
Wouldn't bother me a bit.
No.
Now the conversation is can he be the best quarterback to ever play at Texas? Yes, he can. Greatest, that's different. That's totally different. Greatest quarterback to ever play at Oklahoma, Steve Davis. Won back-to-back natties. Best quarterback to ever play at OU, won Baker, Reagan, Mayfield.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, I
greatest,
mean,
best.
if you're talking about the quarterback position, I get it. And if that's what Bowles means, is that this kid is going to come in and be able to operate an offense better than anybody else in the history of Texas football. Okay,
Then again, the argument also that I saw, and I don't know where I stand on it because I don't have an opinion. If he was going to be the greatest at operating an offense, how
how did he not surpass?
How did he not surpass a 7th round pick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once again, the fluff and hyperbole coming out of Austin is just constant. Obviously Kurt
It's
Bowl
been that way our entire lives, Chuck.
It has, and I shouldn't probably even give him the time, but it just thought it was funny. But anyways, I didn't catch any conversation that Feinbaum had with them about the playoff format. But I mean, I said this, I believe, all the way back 7 years ago when we got started. College football will trend towards a Premier League English soccer style of play, and it's getting there.
Start in 2029.
It's getting there now. I mean,
it's
there will in our, maybe I don't know how long I've got left, but in our lifetime there will be relegation and there will be promotion and there will be stuff like that. So it's coming, but I think right now it's the big. It's like going back and finding John Connor and trying to obliterate Skynet, which we're in, by the way. But to me, once ESPN jumped in bed completely with Alabama, the rest of the SEC was just there to fall. And then now the SEC and all of the big schools can flex their muscle, and the Big 12 let Texas push them around for too many years, and that was their demise. But I don't know.
As was the Southwest Conference.
Yeah. So, but I'll say this, right now.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. Could be Sparty, Cincy, Bearcats, and Vandy all in the same league.
Sure.
Well, Vandy's and we need to talk about, what's forthcoming with college football, or what could be coming up with college football, especially with the conferences and.
Well, let me touch on something real quick before we do that. So at the SEC, Greg Sankey has been all in the media this week through the SEC media days. He's flexing hard. And from what I can gather is he wants the 5+11 format, 5 automatic qualifiers and 11 at large. Now, he's also clamoring hard for a strength of schedule bit.
When you sent me that text last night, it says 5 divided by 11 playoff format. And I had my glasses on, and I'm looking at it right now. And I was just staring at my keyboard like, where is the division sign?
Sorry.
So I just Googled, oh, that's what he's talking. I'm like, what is he talking about, man?
Yeah, late night text. But anyway, so Sankey is big on the strength of schedule format because they feel like Ole Miss and Bama got screwed last year over who, Indiana and SMU. You can make an argument. I mean, I'm not blind. The automatic retort to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin is, how'd you lose to Kentucky on your home field?
Sure.
But the SEC homers will say, well, it's the SEC. My God,
it just means more.
Any team can come in and beat you at home.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a 9-3 team with Oklahoma's schedule.
Yeah.
Miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't if there's strength of schedule component.
Well, I would say it depends on the wins too.
Yeah.
I mean, and therein lies the strength of schedule, which, everything points back towards a system that used to kind of factor in all of that.
Yeah. Stuff. And I was about to mention that. Do you remember the wringing of hands and gnashing of teeth of the strength of schedule component in the old BCS?
Yeah.
It's like, if you play a good schedule, you should be rewarded.
Yeah. Who was the guy that was he was out of Broken Bow?
Richard Billingsley.
Yeah. But I mean, the big problem with the BCS in yours and mine's younger years was the fact that it was only 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, they could have used that for a 4-8, 16 team,
2003,
format.
you get at least OU, USC, Auburn, and I forget. I guess it would have been LSU. Yeah. So you have a 14 playoff of that. I don't think you'd have much argument saying who else should have been playing that year.
No, good. No, you'd only have 2 SECs, an
Yeah.
ACC, and a Big 12. There's your, 3 of your 4 power
Now-
conferences represented.
Now Sankey has come out against the 4-4-2-2 1+3. The four automatic qualifiers for the SEC and Big 10, 2 for the ACC and the Big 12, and then 1 group of 5, and then what did I say, 3 at large? Does that add up
Yes.
16? Okay. So he's against that because that would require seeding games within conference. Well, you've already got these teams wanting to steer clear through hell or high water away from a 9th conference game.
Right.
So obviously getting Massachusetts or the Citadel on the schedule is a mandatory must for the SEC. And I'll give Texas credit. They haven't played any FCS, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. So anyway, so Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, he is reportedly for the 5+11. The Big 10 commissioner, Tony Petitti, he wants the 4-4-2-2 1+3. And then Brett Yormark, I think the thing is the 4-4 model could end up making a lot more money. That's
maybe all these conferences should just form their own entity, College Football Alliance, what
like a
have you.
20-team entity.
It'd be more than that because you would pull the Big 12 in, the ACC in, Big 10, and SEC. Tell the NCAA to go to hell. You have let this thing run right off the rails. It's unrecognizable. You had one job. You couldn't do that. You were too busy policing kids having an extra helping of pasta at a donor luncheon. And right under your nose, we have what we're seeing now, which is unrestricted free agency. Kids that have done absolutely nothing, getting millions of dollars to come to a university, making more than guys that have been there that have put in the work. And it's just ridiculous. The game is unrecognizable. It's, I guess I'm just getting old, but a lot of it is just like, I'm just going to ignore it because if I really start paying attention to it, I'm going to lose interest.
Yeah, the fluff surrounding the actual play on the field is really starting to outweigh the joy of seeing your team compete.
Mm-hmm.
And I look, and here's what's happened, Jeremy, through social media, through branding and things like that. What used to be the job of about a dozen guys on a message board who covered recruiting and everything else, night and day, and would put things out on a message board for OU fans to look at, has now become an army of people, reporting or commenting, whatever the case might be on all of that. Dan Narvis says, kind of thinks strength of schedule formula is incestuous. Yeah, I mean, it can't be the sole factor, but I mean, if you're 5-6 and you play the hell of a schedule, you're not necessarily playoff bound.
Yeah. Record matters too.
Yeah.
It's just a component.
But when you're going,
if you have 2 9-3 teams and one team has a win against an FCS team and the other 9-3 team beat a top 5 team on the road or just a top or a neutral side or any top 5 team, that should be weighted more.
Yeah. Well, and we have these, and like I said in basketball, we have these, these super media consultants that know everything and believe everything, that say, well, nobody wants to watch Indiana take on Ole Miss, or whatever, SMU, this and that. And therefore, if you did just conference champions and took on each other in a playoff, you'd have, they would have beat them. Our second place team would have beat them, So it's constantly that type of stuff because I say that because Dan Narva commented, Division II and lower are no perfect world, but with good teams in his backyard, he says relatively less pollution of money does make it alluring. And that's what it all boils down to, is just the almighty dollar. But I'll say this, I don't know. How do I say this without being, barking at clouds? It's like when they say, you don't want to see how hot dogs are made. We saw national titles when we were young. We saw, contending teams. We saw the product on the field, and we didn't have to see all the seedy dealings that went on with getting a kid on campus. Adrian Peterson.
We were aware of it.
We knew it was there, but it's like
we just didn't care.
It's kind of like that fringe uncle that's been a ride with the law for years. You just like,
I
he's
was
out there somewhere.
I was perfectly happy with the shady SEC bag man stealing recruits, because at least that seemed more honest than what we've got now.
Well, and you talk about turning tail and betraying the SEC bag man. I think if it were in conference, I would think Kirby Smart might have pulled a Phil Fulmer. He's apparently been ranting about the incoming freshmen making more than the players on board already, and complained that NIL collectives can give a potential recruit anywhere of upwards to $20,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know what $20,000 a month buys you in this world, Jeremy?
That's pretty good dough.
Yeah, I mean, but then if the kid doesn't, and these are two recruits. This isn't kids who have ever taken a snap or been on campus. So
telling you, and it's just think of the pressure you feel as a head coach in a school like Georgia, that they, you've won a couple natties. They expect a couple more. They want those results. You bring in a kid and you're paying him all this money and he doesn't do anything. The pressure's not on the kid. It's on the coach. Yeah. That's not what they signed up for. Well, and another thing is, and just to finish up on Kirby Smart is, the talk is that he's miffed that a Miami NIL collective took an offensive line recruit that he had in the bag and is giving the kid $20,000 a month. I get that, but you can't go public with that as a coach. No. But to your point, that's why we're seeing these schools hire general managers. Yeah. Because you cannot coach and deal with that. No. So basically what you're going to find out is what's the guy, Nagy, that's the new OU general manager? Jim Nagy. So what's going to happen is Brent's going to go in and say, hey, there's this kid down at Kilgore, Texas that we'd really like to get a look at, this and that. And Nagy's just going to look at him across the table and say, nah, we don't have the funds for that. Or he's going to say, I watched his tape. I don't think so. You hope that there's player analysis, but Nagy's a scout. That's his view. But you got to hope, Jeremy, that these players aren't just going to be ranked by price. Oh, I know. I mean, well, we got Texas offering this kid $15,000 a month. There's no way we're going to top that. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just bonkers. Bill Snyder would be rolling over in his grave. Is Bill Snyder alive? No, he's not. Okay. you made me question myself. Like, wait a second. No, he's been rolling over in his grave for a couple of years now. Getting after it. Dan Narva back on the strength of schedule. I'm more or less parroting Danny Cannell, who's always poking at the SEC, but there is a sense that rankings do influence it. I mean, the slogan "It just means more" stems from how strength of schedule would play in. I mean, that's it, right? Well, maybe maybe you have your media rankings and get rid of the coaches poll, because we know who fills out those polls. The SID does. Yeah. So go to we have a media ranking, we have a computer ranking. Put on your factors, strength of schedule, out of conference opponents, point differential. I hate that one. And that's bad. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you got to find a way to objectively rank these teams, because you're not going to get objectivity from a media poll. You're not. No. You're just not. You're going to have Joe Blow, who covers an SEC team, who's always going to have SEC teams in his top 25, no matter what. Same thing with all the other conferences. There's got to be a way, you have to, it has to be coldly objective.
Yeah.
And the only way you can do that is computer rankings. And maybe just go back to the old BCS format where you had several different, you had the Dunkel, you had the Billingsley report, you had all these other computer rankings.
And then, what I think people want to see is like the Sagarin ratings and things like that with basketball. I mean, they want to see, of course, you utilize a selection committee. And now nobody's
because there's so many biases in that room.
Yeah. But I mean, you always try to counter it with the right biases, I guess you could say. But then
I don't know if you can with some of the people that they put on those committees.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, so also on college football, start times for OU football announced this week. Illinois State, 5:00. I guess, is that going to be an ESPN Plus or a?
That's going to be the ESPN Plus game. 5:00 in early September. It should be about 1,000 degrees in that stadium.
Michigan, 6:30.
Michigan at night, dude. Hey,
Big Ten SEC at night, baby.
Yeah.
Temple at 11, and then the OU Texas game, the old traditional 2:30. So, will that lend itself to more hijinks on Congress Street or the West End?
It should. It won't be after dark when that thing ends. I don't think they're worried about what happens on Commerce Street or in Deep Ellum. I think they're more worried about that
around the fairgrounds,
that war zone right outside of the fairgrounds.
I heard horror stories of guys paying dudes to park in a parking lot and then find out dudes
car's gone.
got no bearing to be parking anybody there. So anyways, that's got to be better than the traditional big noon kickoff, right?
Anything's better than the traditional big noon kickoff.
Yeah, for sure.
Ohio State's pretty upset about that big noon kickoff. So, hey, buddy, guys, yeah.
Well, and
that comes with the contract, and enjoy it because we lived with it for how many years, and it was just awful.
Yeah. The T-SIP of all T-SIPs, Chris Del Conte, also balked on the Ohio State concept, moving that game to the Sunday of Memorial or Labor Day weekend. So he said he had church that day. So
I wish he wouldn't. I wish he would have just stuck to his guns. Like, hey guys, this is a big game. Deserves to be on Saturday. We don't need a short week going into conference. Let's not do this.
Yeah, don't.
And just
Don't throw Jesus under the bus on that one.
I know. Yeah, Jesus,
especially in a godless town like Austin.
Del Conte's not a Mormon, is he?
Oh gosh, now that you say it, I'm sure he is. So, but they do believe in Christ. I mean,
well, right, but they don't work on Sundays.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Is he? Won't you effort that while I segue into this OU softball?
I'm gonna type into Google, is Chris Del Conte, and then I'm gonna read the top 10 results.
Let's listen to this final call from Chris Plank last night at Devon Park.
Here's the 0-1. Swings and hits it deep to center field. We'll see you Saturday afternoon in the winner's bracket. Ella Parker walks it off, and Oklahoma has beaten Tennessee on a walk-off 3-run bomb to center field from the All-American Ella Parker. Oh, sweet baby, do your thing. It'll be the Red River rivalry in the winner's bracket on Saturday. Are you kidding me? Sooner Magic in Oklahoma City. A no-doubter. An absolute missile. And the Sooners have done it again.
Chris Blank on the call there on Learfield Sports and OU Radio Network. Man, you talk about some drama, Jeremy, yesterday at Devon Park. I mean, down 3-1. I think I was watching it spottily there when it was 2-1, and then I saw Tennessee get the third run on a pretty close play at the plate and a dropped fly ball. But defensively, OU really turned their jets back on and got a couple of great double plays. But then, the two things I picked up from that win yesterday, 4-3, was that why would the is it Pickens, the pitcher for Tennessee? She was really Pickering, I think, or maybe that we've got a Pickering. Anyways, the thing was, why would you pitch to her when she's already took you yard? Well, you don't think you want to load the bases when you've got a.
Hey, I don't know if you've seen the replay, but that was a really good pitch. Low and
Sure.
away, change up.
Yeah.
It was in the spot. It was just, it was a better piece of hitting.
Just a big moment. And then also the Tennessee coach in the in the post-game press conference throwing out that having
They weren't a factor when they were leading the whole game.
Had 9,900 fans in the stands makes a difference. And just I think that's what grinds my gears the most about. And I know I griped a lot about Alabama back in their dominant days and this and that, but I'll just say that currently people with a mouthpiece in this world take so much, opportunity. Yeah, Pickens,
yes.
Yeah. Take so much opportunity to bitch and complain about fairness or about, you go from the Thunder's style of play to the SGA, and then now the constant narrative, and they're all narratives, Jeremy. The constant narrative about OU's playing in the back, didn't Tennessee take the series in Norman 2-1?
I am old enough to remember that they took 2 of 3 in Norman in front of about 10,000 Sooner fans.
Sure. So you didn't get it done yesterday. You're not out of the tournament. You still have a chance. I can't believe that a coach would throw that out there for their kid. As a coach, I don't want that. I don't want my players hearing that come from me.
It's like she's been, went to the Mike White school of.
That's totally it.
Giving an interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's an influencer.
Cry and complain.
Mike White, the Texas softball coach, influencer. So, anyways, also yesterday, Jeremy, and being that we were formerly a program on a station in Texas, I would be remiss, and a buddy of the show, Jeff Haxton, the voice of Texas Tech Red Raider basketball and baseball, and now softball. Texas Tech got their first win. Here's the final call from Jeff Haxton.
Texas Tech fans standing down and to our left. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The victory bells are going to ring again, and for the first time ever, Texas Tech has a win at the Women's College World Series.
So Haxton there on the call. He is an Oklahoma boy from the same county that I was born in. He was from Ripley, which is kind of between Yale and Stillwater, and I was born in Yale. My family's all from there, but he made the leap from Oral Roberts to Texas Tech, and he's been their voice for everything but football, basically. But Haxton with a great call there. The big pitcher girl transferred in from Stanford, Kennedy. She'll be a load to deal with in this College World Series. I stayed up last night and watched the Oregon UCLA game. And that was one on a walk-off, too. Pac-12 softball after dark, buddy. There's nothing like it.
That's what we're left with for the Pac-12 after dark offerings. Well, that Texas Tech, Mississippi game, you had one run scored. It was unearned.
Mm-hmm.
And Tech had 4 hits.
Yeah. So that's a lot of good softball. And UCLA.
I'm sure that game lasted about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Ella Parker, the big walk-off, congratulations her. They needed that. This team probably needs to realize that you can dig down and get that clutch moment. It's a clutch gene that Patty Gasso has instilled in her teams.
Yeah, and they're young. They're very young. All those girls that won all those championships, they're gone.
Yeah. Shame Jordy Ball's watching this from home after Tennessee went up to Lincoln and defeated them, I believe.
Yeah. Jordy's, she gets to hit up there. Apparently, she's a really good hitter. I don't know why she didn't hit when she was here.
I don't know.
It's been tough for her up there. They made a super, which is great, but there's not much around her.
No. it would be I mean, it's about coming home, I'm sure, and maybe helping be a foundation piece for
I think they gave her 250 acres of land. So
prime sands land.
at least that's the story coming from northeast Kansas.
Oh, would that be a contact of yours?
Yeah.
Gave her a bunch of sand land up there that they're going to put a pipeline through.
That's right.
But anyway, so Steve Anderson says in baseball regionals, there's 13 teams from the SEC and 8 from the Big 12 out of 64 total. OU is taking on Nebraska today at 4:00 at the Chapel Hill regional, and then Karen Weekly was the Tennessee coach.
Okay.
The
week.
Yeah. Like you said, it's the Mike White school of thought.
Well, and here's another thing. OU, before Patty Gasso, they weren't in Oklahoma City very often.
No.
And what other city in the nation has put together an event like the Women's College World Series for softball?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them lining up to, build a complex, that is on par with what is in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And willing to host it. You just get over it. It is what it is. It ain't going to be like this forever. Patty's going to retire, I always say maybe the next one will be her last.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they win it this year, she passes Candrea. So maybe she hangs it up after this year, and then they can stop crying.
Yeah, for sure. OSU baseball is at the Athens Regional. They've got Georgia and Binghamton and Duke in that regional. Binghamton. And then
it's fun to say.
It is. And then, so as I mentioned, OU takes on Nebraska in baseball action.
I don't see in the regional.
Kyson Witherspoon, I think he was named SEC Pitcher of the Year.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's huge.
Oklahoma State did make it to a regional.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, they're in the Athens regional.
And for Steve Anderson's purposes and any potential OSU followers that were not just OU centric, hats off to the OSU golf team.
Yeah, natty.
Won a natty and beat OU along the way, and then came from behind to beat Virginia and take the national title home. That's huge. I mean, you talk about a year where, I mean, their softball team didn't make the super regional. Football team was god awful. Basketball was really underwhelming, and baseball is, I mean,
how'd they do in wrestling?
I don't know. Okay. Michael Busso checking in. Good morning. It's barely morning, Boos. No, I appreciate him jumping
in his NBA Finals T-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. But anyways, so golf, as I try to look that up, somebody 12th NCAA title for the OSU golf team.
How about that?
Congratulations. That's outstanding. And
Pat Jones always said they're a golf school, by and large.
Well, when I interviewed Quade Cummins, the former Weatherford Eagle, on Western Oklahoma Sports Night, you can find that on YouTube. Plug. We mentioned that. So OSU plays Duke tonight. Thanks, Steve-O.
Yep.
And then Michael Busso. But anyways, Quade Cummins is based out of Oak Tree. It's where he plays, to prepare for his PGA tour events, which they are in Ohio this week, Muirfield Village for the Memorial. And last week was Charles Schwab in Fort Worth. Quade Cummins, I think, finished tied for 24th was his last
Jack's place.
Yeah. But anyway, so long story short, he was telling me some of the names, and I think there's a lot of OSU golf. He's an OU kid. He's got to deal with a lot of OSU golfers who are also based out of Oak Tree. So I golfed last Friday. That's why we went Thursday night. And man, Jeremy
had a little scramble action.
Yeah, a little Weatherford Athletics Hall of Fame. Oh, and real quick, I want to show something. big shout out to our general manager at Wright Media. This was the Weatherford autographed commemorative basketball for those of you who are just listening, if you are. Autographed by the team. Awesome. 2025 Class 4A state champions. Great emblem on there. And now I'll have to go find a display case for this. I'm hoping that the tariffs aren't going to be too high on me trying to find a display case.
You have some time. They haven't gone into
time on display cases, because I saw a story yesterday that women ordering clothes and garments on Temu are being charged exorbitant tariff fees by the transport companies.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me get on the Amazons and
You're good. We're good. Anyway, we need to start getting our way out of here. But so anyway, a big weekend of sports. We'll get to see what Game 6 is tomorrow night in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I like the fact that the Pacers call their place a field house.
Yeah, that's it's in Indiana.
Well, yeah, but I like that.
Yeah. It seems fitting. Okay, so Steve, OSU won the Big 12 team championship and finished third in the NCAA.
Okay. So
they won 2 natties individually.
Maybe not up to OSU wrestling standards, but a great season for the Pokes in wrestling. So
looks like you can get one. Looks like you can get out of it under $40, Chuck.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that hard acrylic, or is that?
Yeah, I can send you. I can send you the link to
send me the link if you would.
I will.
Anyway, so thank you, Heston Wright and Wright Media, for sending that as a little bit of a keepsake for my play-by-play voice duties for the Weatherford Eagles basketball team. And man, Jeremy, I'm going to be paying attention to a lot of college basketball next season, as I'll have a former player playing for the Iowa Hawkeyes and also the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, as well as the old logo here, the SWASU Bulldogs, and then
the greatest mascot in college sports, Pitt State Gorillas.
The Gorillas, yeah. Were they your opponents when you were in Ichabod? Because
no, they were in a different division.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think they're all in the same one now.
Yeah, they are now. They were like NCAA
D3
3 at the time, and we were 2.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll have a lot of basketball to keep up with for my former players. Plus, football in the fall. CJ Nixon got moved into the athletic dormitory this week, and man, I'm going to say, Jeremy, he was 6'6", 230 listed as a high school edge rusher. He looks like he could be upwards of 240, 250 now.
Yeah, he's going to have to put on his spend summer with Schmitty. He'll be 250 by the season.
Hanging with Schmitty. Anyways, what do you got going this weekend?
Oh, what was that?
That was a mistake.
Let's see. I'm waiting around for my insurance guy to call me. We got a guitar lesson this afternoon.
Yeah, how's the guitar coming?
It's she's doing well. She's really enjoying it. We're over a year into the in-person lessons, and she's sticking with it. So that's all I can ask at this point.
Did you see those Spanish girls that I sent you the link to on Instagram?
Yeah, I did.
I think it's fake. I think it's AI.
It might be. It might be. Like when you see the attractive woman shredding out better than Eddie Van Halen, it's like I don't think that's real.
That's Skynet. I called it.
Yeah, it's all AI.
Well, I'll as I mentioned, as I'm going to say, it'll be Game 6 tomorrow night, I believe, between the Pacers and Knicks. Boy, it was really a Knicks reunion on court in the post game last night.
Oh yeah, is John Starks down there?
I think I saw Bernard King. No,
Bernard King.
I think Latrell Sprewell was there. I don't know if he choked anybody out, but
was PJ down there?
Who was it? Who was it that Sprewell choked?
PJ Carlesimo.
Undercoach Carlesimo. Yeah. Okay. Get my Italian names mixed up.
Another former St. John's coach.
That's right. No, he was Seton Hall.
That's right, Seton Hall.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, let's get out of here. He is Jeremy Schroeder, ruler of the airways. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog. We appreciate you tuning in here on Facebook Live. We will probably be throwing out the option here in the near future to be able to see the videos also on YouTube and Twitter at the same time. That is the power that StreamYard gives us. And then also we've got a upcoming sponsor of the show coming that we will be promoting. So be sure and pay attention to our social medias at Law Dog Sports, Instagram, Twitter X, and Facebook. And then also you can listen to this episode at your convenience on Spotify, our primary podcast platform. I think there may still be episodes going to Apple, but I cannot guarantee that as we are focusing on Spotify. So anyway, Steve Anderson, great show, guys. Have a good weekend. You have a good weekend, Steve-O, and Dan Narva.
Yeah, Steve,
and
have a great
Mike
one.
Russo. Connor Card checked in for a minute. Tanner Pruitt, we appreciate all the interaction we had. It makes this thing a lot of fun. And he's Jeremy Schroeder. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure, don't drink and drive. We'll talk to you real soon.